You do not attract what you want, you express what you are. This audiobook shatters the illusion of separation between you and your desires. The moment you stop seeking and start embodying, creation becomes effortless. This is not about learning something new, it is about remembering who you have always been. The Law of Creation. Introduction. In the depths of ancient wisdom lies a truth so simple yet so powerful that its revelation transforms all who grasp it. You have walked this earth believing yourself to be a seeker of abundance, a student of manifestation, one who must learn to attract what you desire. Yet this very belief has veiled the greatest secret of all. You are not the attractor, but the source. The universe does not grant wishes, it reflects truth, and the deepest truth is this: you are the creator of your reality, not its hopeful recipient. This knowledge has been guarded through ages, passed down through whispers and symbols waiting for those ready to bear its weight. Think of how you breathe. Do you ask permission from the air? Do you hope it will enter your lungs? No. You simply breathe, knowing it is your natural state. Creation works the same way. You are not meant to beg the universe for favors or wait patiently for signs. You are meant to create with the same certainty with which you breathe. The law of attraction, as it has been taught, is but a shadow of this deeper truth. It speaks of manifesting as though you must pull something toward you from outside yourself. But nothing exists outside of you. You are the very fabric of reality expressing itself. This book holds no techniques for visualization, no methods for attracting desires. Instead, it contains the keys to remembering who you truly are. As you turn these pages, you will undergo an initiation, not into new knowledge, but into ancient remembrance. And you stand now at the threshold of understanding that will alter the very foundation of your existence. The power you've sought has always resided within you, waiting not to be discovered, but to be remembered. This is not about becoming something new. It is about awakening to what you have always been. Part 1, The Awakening, Breaking Free from the Illusion. Chapter 1, The Great Lie of Manifestation. In a bustling city lived a man named Walter, whose shelves groaned under the weight of manifestation books and journals filled with countless affirmations. Each morning he would stand before his vision board, eyes closed, visualizing the life he desired. Each evening he would script elaborate scenes of his future success. Yet month after month, year after year, his reality remained unchanged. One autumn evening, as Walter sat in a small cafe contemplating his latest failed manifestation attempt, an elderly man at the next table turned to him. "You're trying too hard to attract what's already yours," the stranger said, his eyes carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. "The bird doesn't attract the air it flies through. It simply spreads its wings." This simple truth unveils the fundamental misunderstanding that has kept you bound. You have been taught to see yourself as separate from your desires, reaching across an imaginary divide to attract what you want. But this very perception creates the illusion of distance between you and your creations. The universe does not operate on a system of attraction. It operates on a principle of expression. Just as a flower doesn't attract growth, it grows because that is its nature. You do not attract circumstances, you express them from within. This is not mere philosophy. It is the fundamental law of existence. When Walter met the wise stranger, he learned that his vision board had become a wall between himself and his desires, reinforcing the belief that what he wanted was out there to be attracted. His affirmations were prayers to an external force, when the power had always resided within. Months later, Walter found himself living the life he had once desperately tried to manifest. But it didn't happen through attraction. It happened through transformation. He stopped trying to attract success and began expressing it. He ceased attempting to draw abundance toward him and started operating from abundance. The change wasn't in his circumstances. It was in his very being. The world you experience is not responding to your desires. It is reflecting your state of being. When you understand this, manifestation becomes unnecessary. You don't need to attract what you already are. Practice. The mirror of being. Sit quietly with your journal and reflect on 3 things that have manifested naturally in your life. Things you never had to force or struggle to attract. Write them down. Now, examine the state of being that preceded each manifestation. You'll discover that these things came not because you wanted them, but because they were natural expressions of who you were being at the time. This is the key to all creation, not attraction, but expression of your true nature. Chapter 2. The unseen forces that govern your reality. In a forgotten corner of an antiquarian bookshop, Eleanor discovered a leather-bound volume, its pages yellowed with time. As she opened it, dust motes danced in the afternoon light, and words seemed to leap from the pages. The forces that shape your life have always been within your command, whether you knew of them or not. You see, the universe operates through immutable laws that govern every aspect of creation. Just as gravity doesn't require your belief or awareness to function, these cosmic principles shape your reality regardless of your understanding of them. They are the invisible architects of every experience you've ever had. Think of these laws as the grammar of existence. When you speak your native tongue, you need not consciously think of grammar rules. You simply express yourself naturally. Similarly, these universal laws work through you whether you recognize them or not. The first of these principles is the law of expression. Everything in your experience is an extension of your state of being. The second is the law of resonance. Your inner frequency attracts its matching external circumstances. The third is the law of perpetual creation. Every moment is a point of power where reality is born anew. Eleanor began experimenting with these principles, applying them consciously to her daily life. Yet as she did so, she noticed something remarkable. Looking back at her life's major turning points, she saw these laws had been working all along. Every success she'd achieved, every relationship she'd formed, every opportunity that had appeared, all were perfect reflections of her inner state at those times. The truth became clear. These laws weren't new forces she needed to master, but ancient allies she'd been dancing with all along. Her awareness simply allowed her to move from unconscious creation to conscious participation. Your life, too, bears testament to these eternal principles. Every circumstance you now face is evidence of their operation. Your awareness of them doesn't initiate their influence. It simply transforms you from an unconscious creator to a conscious one. Practice the threads of creation. Take 3 significant events from your past, 1 positive, 1 challenging, and 1 unexpected. For each event, trace backward through the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs you held in the months preceding it. Notice how your inner state aligned perfectly with what manifested. Pay special attention to the subtle whispers of intuition you may have felt, the dreams that visited you in the night, and the recurring thoughts that seemed to echo through your days. This exercise reveals how these universal laws have been working through you all along, waiting for you to recognize their presence and partner with them consciously. As you reflect, you'll begin to see the intricate tapestry of creation, how your deepest fears manifested as obstacles, how your highest aspirations drew forth opportunities, and how even your most casual thoughts played their part in weaving the fabric of your reality. Each thread of experience bears witness to the eternal truth that you have always been a creator, even if you didn't yet know it. Chapter 3. Your consciousness is the architect. In a sunlit studio overlooking the city, Edwin pored over his blueprints, measuring each line with exacting precision. For 30 years, he had designed homes that others praised as masterpieces, yet his own vision of the perfect house remained elusive. Each draft fell short, each revision revealed new flaws, until one morning, as he stood before his drawing board, understanding dawned like the first rays of sunrise. You, like Edwin, are an architect of reality. Your thoughts sketch the outline, your emotions color the spaces, and your attention builds the structure of your world. Every circumstance you encounter has been designed by the unseen hand of your consciousness, drafted in the studio of your mind. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. It mirrors the blueprint of your being with unfailing accuracy. When you understand this truth, you realize that changing your circumstances requires more than merely wishing for different results. It demands a revision of your inner architecture. Edwin discovered this truth as he studied the fundamental principles of design. He saw that every building began as an idea, transformed into detailed plans, and finally manifested in physical form. No structure ever arose without first existing in thought. This same principle governs all of creation. Your life is built according to the plans you hold within. As he applied this wisdom, Edwin realized that his struggle to design the perfect house reflected a deeper truth. Perfection wasn't found in the external structure, but in the alignment between inner vision and outer form. The house he sought to build was not merely a physical dwelling, but a manifestation of harmony between thought and form. Your reality follows this same pattern. Each experience, relationship, and circumstance in your life has been constructed according to the blueprint of your consciousness. The world you see is not happening to you, it is emerging from you. Practice the inner architect and find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as an architect standing before a blank drawing board. Begin to design the inner structure of your desired reality. See yourself sketching the foundation of your beliefs, the walls of your thoughts, the windows of your perspective, and the doors of your opportunities. Feel the texture of each material you choose, the solid stone of conviction, the warm wood of wisdom, the clear glass of insight. As you design this inner dwelling, pay attention to every detail. What thoughts illuminate each room? What emotions color the spaces? What beliefs support the structure? Take your time with this visualization, understanding that as you refine your inner architecture, your outer world must reshape itself to match this new blueprint. Chapter 4. The Invisible Blueprint of Your Life. In a small cottage filled with memories, Martha sat among old photographs scattered across her wooden table. As the evening light filtered through lace curtains, she traced the patterns of her life with weathered fingers, discovering a truth that had always been there, waiting to be understood. You possess within you a hidden architect that designs every moment of your existence. Like Martha, you may believe your experiences arise by chance, but there is a deeper wisdom waiting to be unveiled. Every circumstance, every relationship, every triumph and challenge follows an unseen blueprint, one crafted by the beliefs and emotions you carry in your depths. Your subconscious mind holds the master plans of your reality. It remembers every moment that shaped your understanding of life, love, and possibility. These memories are not mere recordings of the past. They are the active architects of your future, silently designing the structures of your tomorrow. As Martha studied the photographs before her, she noticed how certain themes repeated themselves throughout her years. The same stories played out with different characters. The same challenges appeared in different forms. This was no coincidence. It was the manifestation of her inner blueprint, recreating familiar patterns in new circumstances. One evening, as she held a photograph of herself as a young woman, Martha understood. She had been writing and rewriting the same story, not because fate demanded it, but because her subconscious blueprint remained unchanged. The power to create a new reality lay not in changing external circumstances, but in revising the foundational plans within. Practice the blueprint revelation. Take 3 blank pages and a pen. On the first page, write down the recurring patterns you've noticed in your life, the situations that seem to repeat themselves in different forms. On the second page, explore the beliefs and emotions that might have created these patterns. What early experiences shaped your expectations? What memories formed your understanding of what's possible? On the third page, consciously design your new blueprint. Write the story as you wish it to unfold, not as a fantasy, but as a deep knowing. Feel the truth of this new design in your bones. This is not merely planning. It is the act of conscious creation, rewriting the invisible script that shapes your reality. Let each word flow from that sacred space within where truth and possibility merge. As you write, imagine these new patterns already alive within you, replacing the old blueprints with the luminous architecture of your choosing. This is your moment of divine authorship, where you step into your power as the architect of your own destiny. Chapter 5. The Power of the Now in Creation. In a dimly lit workshop filled with the gentle ticking of countless timepieces, Howard meticulously adjusted the delicate mechanisms before him. Each movement represented another moment slipping away, another future he planned to reach, another past he couldn't quite release. Time is not what you believe it to be. The past exists only in memory, the future only in imagination. Your point of power, the only moment where creation occurs, is now. This eternal present holds within it all possibility, all potential, all power, yet you have been taught to reach forward or look backward, missing the sacred ground beneath your feet. The mind creates elaborate illusions of time, convincing you that what you desire exists somewhere in a distant future. But creation knows no tomorrow. It knows only this moment, this breath, this singular point of awareness, where all things are born. As Howard sat surrounded by his watches, a profound understanding washed over him. For years, he had calibrated time with precision, yet he had never truly lived in it. Each tick represented another moment lost to planning, another breath spent becoming rather than being. One day, Howard set down his tools. He closed his eyes and allowed himself to simply be. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. The endless ticking faded away, and he discovered a truth that had always been there. He was not moving through time. Time was moving through him. In that revelation, everything shifted. Practice the eternal now. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Feel the weight of your body, the sensation of air filling your lungs. This is now. Allow your desired state to fill your awareness. If abundance is what you seek, feel the fullness of having. If it's love, feel its presence within you. If it's success, embody the knowing of achievement. Don't imagine these states as future possibilities. Claim them as current truths. Remain in this state for several minutes, allowing each breath to anchor you deeper into the present moment. When thoughts of past or future arise, gently return to now. This is not a practice of becoming, it is a recognition of being. You are not waiting for your desires to manifest. You are allowing them to emerge from the infinite potential of this eternal moment. Chapter 6. Dismantling the Prison of Your Mind. In a cold stone cell, Eugene traced his fingers along the iron bars that had confined him for years. Each morning, he would wake to the same walls, the same shadows, the same heavy door with its ancient lock. Yet what he discovered one fateful dawn changed everything. You have built your own prison, brick by brick, belief by belief. The walls that contain you were not constructed by external forces. They rose from the foundations of your own thoughts. Every "I can't," every "it's impossible," every "that's not for me," has added another layer to your confinement. The mind creates its own boundaries, drawing lines in the sand and calling them walls. These imaginary barriers become so real that you begin to feel their cold touch, hear their echo in your footsteps, taste their bitter presence in every breath. But they are nothing more than thoughts given power through belief. Eugene discovered this truth when he noticed something peculiar about his cell door. The key that would grant his freedom had always hung just within reach. Obscured by his certainty that escape was impossible, his prison had never been the stone walls, it had been his acceptance of them. What you perceive as external limitations are merely projections of internal beliefs. The universe knows no boundaries. It is infinite in its potential. The only walls that exist are those you have accepted as real. Every obstacle you face first took root in your mind before manifesting in your experience. Practice breaking the walls of limitation. Take a blank piece of paper and write down every "I can't" that echoes in your mind. Each limitation, each boundary, each wall that seems to block your path. Let them all flow onto the page. Now examine each one closely. Ask yourself, who placed this limitation here? When did I accept this as truth? For each limiting belief, write its opposite, a statement of power and possibility. I can't achieve wealth becomes abundance flows to me naturally. I'm not talented enough transforms into my unique gifts serve the world perfectly. Now, in a sacred act of liberation, destroy the page containing your limitations. Tear it, burn it, or dissolve it in water. As you do, feel the walls of your mental prison crumbling. What remains is the infinite space of possibility, your natural state of being. The key to your freedom has always been within reach, waiting patiently for you to recognize its presence. The door was never locked except in your mind, a barrier of your own creation, sustained by doubts and fears passed down through generations. Step through it now, crossing the threshold into the vast expanse of possibility that is your birthright. Feel the weight of limitation fall away as you embrace the truth. You were born to soar beyond these self-imposed boundaries. Chapter 7. The Shift from Wanting to Knowing. In a garden filled with roses, Clara stood before a mirror she had placed among the flowers. Each morning she would gaze at her reflection and whisper affirmations of love, hoping to attract her perfect partner. Yet with each passing day, the emptiness in her heart grew deeper. The act of wanting creates a powerful vibration, one that echoes the very absence of what you seek. When you say, "I want love," the universe hears only the space where love should be. This is the paradox that keeps countless souls trapped in cycles of endless seeking. The difference between wanting and knowing lies in the subtle realm of consciousness. When you want something, you broadcast the frequency of lack. When you know something, you emanate the frequency of completion. The universe does not respond to your desires, it responds to your state of being. In the depths of her longing, Clara discovered an ancient truth. Love was not something to be found, but a presence to be acknowledged. One morning, as she stood before her garden mirror, she saw beyond her reflection to the truth that had always been there. The love she sought was not waiting to arrive. It was waiting to be recognized. She stopped saying, "I want love," and began living as love itself. Her entire being shifted from seeking to expressing, from wanting to embodying. In that moment of transformation, she realized that love had never been absent. She had simply been looking for it in the wrong direction. The mirror in your world reflects not your physical form, but your state of consciousness. What you experience is not what you want or wish for, it is what you are. The universe operates not through the language of desire, but through the law of reflection. Practice the mirror of being. Stand before a mirror in a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Look deeply into your own eyes. Instead of focusing on what you want, allow yourself to feel what you already are. If you seek love, see it already shining in your eyes. If you seek abundance, feel it flowing through your being. If you seek peace, recognize it in your steady gaze. Spend several minutes in this state of knowing. Let go of all wanting, all seeking, all striving. Simply be what you wish to experience. This is not an exercise in pretending or forcing. It is an acknowledgement of what has always been true. The mirror shows you not what you might become, but what you already are beneath the layers of doubt and desire. As you practice this daily, you will find yourself naturally shifting from the energy of wanting to the power of knowing. The mirror becomes not a tool for checking your appearance, but a gateway to recognizing your true state of being. Chapter 8. Emotional Alchemy. Turning feelings into power. In the quiet hours before dawn, Samuel sat at his piano, his fingers hovering over the keys as discordant thoughts raced through his mind. Bills piled high, opportunities slipping away, and the weight of failure pressed upon his shoulders. As he began to play, the harsh notes matched his inner turmoil. You have been taught that emotions are reactions to life's circumstances, yet this understanding keeps you bound to the illusion that you are at the mercy of external events. Emotions are not responses. They are the raw materials from which your reality is fashioned. Like musical notes, emotions carry specific frequencies that ripple through the fabric of existence. When you feel anger, you're not reacting to circumstances. You're wielding creative force. When fear grips your heart, you are not responding to danger. You are composing with powerful energy. Samuel discovered that his frustration contained the same force as his inspiration. It was merely playing in a different key. Instead of fighting against his negative emotions, he began to see them as untapped potential. Each feeling became an instrument in his orchestra of creation. One morning, as debt collectors called, Samuel sat at his piano. Rather than allowing anxiety to consume him, he channeled that intense energy into his music. The force that had manifested lack was transformed into a symphony of abundance. Within weeks, opportunities emerged that had been invisible before. Just as a skilled composer knows that both major and minor keys are essential for a masterpiece, you must understand that all emotions serve the grand composition of your life. The art lies not in eliminating what you label as negative, but in transmuting all feelings into creative power. Practice the emotional alchemy. When a strong emotion arises, close your eyes and locate its energy in your body. Rather than labeling it as good or bad, feel its raw power. Place your hands over this energy center and imagine it as pure light. Neither positive nor negative, simply potent and alive. Now consciously direct this energy toward what you wish to create. If it's anger, let its fire fuel your determination. If it's fear, let its alertness sharpen your focus. Feel the emotion transforming, not through resistance, but through conscious direction. Like a conductor guiding each instrument to play its perfect part, you are not suppressing the emotion. You are orchestrating its power. This practice reveals that emotions are not your masters, but your instruments of creation. Through this sacred alchemy, what once seemed like obstacles become the very force that propels you toward your desires. Like a master artist who transforms raw pigments into a masterpiece, you now possess the power to transmute these primal energies into pure creative force. What you once perceived as unwanted feelings now serve as the building blocks of your manifestation, each emotion offering its unique gift to the tapestry of your becoming. Chapter 9. Faith is the substance of reality. In the scorching heat of summer, Harold stood in his barren field, seeds clutched in his weathered hands. While others had abandoned their farms, cursing the relentless drought, he moved with deliberate purpose, planting each seed with the same care as if dark clouds already gathered overhead. You have been taught that faith is a desperate hope, a wish cast into the void. Yet true faith is not hoping, it is knowing. It is the unwavering recognition that what appears absent in the physical world already exists in the realm of pure potential. When you plant a seed, you do not hope it will grow. You know it contains a tree. This knowing is not based on external evidence, but on an understanding of nature's immutable laws. Similarly, your creations do not require external validation to exist. They are already complete in the invisible realm, awaiting your unwavering recognition to emerge into physical form. Doubt is not the opposite of faith. It is faith in what you do not want. Every time you question whether something is possible, you are exercising absolute faith in its impossibility. Your doubt does not prevent creation. It creates precisely what you fear. Harold understood this truth as he tended his invisible crop. Each morning he walked his fields as if abundant grain already swayed in the breeze. He spoke to his plants as though they flourished beneath the sun. His neighbors called him mad, but Harold remained unmoved. His certainty was not based on what his eyes could see, but on what he knew must be. Then one morning, clouds gathered on the horizon. While others rushed to prepare their neglected fields, Harold stood calmly in his own. He had not been waiting for rain. He had been farming in complete certainty, knowing the rain would arrive at the perfect moment. The heavens opened, and where others saw their first hope of salvation, Harold witnessed simply the physical manifestation of what he had known all along. Practice the certainty seed. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Imagine holding a seed in your hands. Feel its texture, its potential, its completeness. Now plant this seed in the soil of your consciousness. This seed represents what you wish to create. Do not hope it will grow. Know that it must, for that is the law of its being. Each day, tend this inner garden. Walk through it as Harold walked his fields, seeing your creation as already complete. Let your knowing water it. Let your certainty nourish it. Feel the absolute naturalness of its growth. Just as a seed must become a tree, what you know with unwavering certainty must manifest in your physical reality. Chapter 10: Initiation into True Creation. In a dimly lit studio, Margaret stood before an empty canvas, her brushes untouched. For years she had studied technique, attended workshops, and sought validation from mentors. Yet something held her back, an invisible wall between her vision and its expression. One evening, while organizing her studio, she discovered an ancient leather-bound volume beneath layers of old sketches. Its pages spoke not of technique or skill, but of a truth so fundamental it shook the foundations of her understanding. You have spent lifetimes seeking what you already possess. The power to create is not a skill to be learned, but a truth to be remembered. When a painter creates, they do not ask permission from the canvas. When a sculptor shapes clay, they do not doubt their authority to transform it. Creation flows not from effort, but from alignment with your true nature. You are not here to learn how to create. You are here to remember that you never stopped creating. Every moment, every breath, every thought is an act of creation. The only question is whether you create consciously or unconsciously. Those who struggle with manifestation are like Margaret, standing before their canvas waiting for permission. They seek techniques, methods, and approval, not realizing they are the source of all they see. The universe does not grant you the power to create. It awaits your recognition that you are creation itself. Margaret discovered this truth as she read the ancient text. One morning, she approached her canvas differently. No longer a supplicant begging for inspiration, but as the source from which all inspiration flows. Her brush moved with quiet authority, not because she had learned something new, but because she had remembered something eternal. The art that flowed from her hands that day was unlike anything she had created before. Not because her technique had improved, but because she had stopped trying to create and simply allowed creation to flow through her recognized authority. You have been told that mastery requires time, effort, and struggle. Yet true mastery is simply the recognition of what has always been. Like Margaret, you are not becoming a creator. You are awakening to the creator you have always been. Practice the creator's recognition. Stand before a mirror in complete silence. Look into your own eyes and speak these words with absolute authority. I am not becoming, I am being. I am not learning to create, I am creation itself. I do not need permission. I am the source of all permission, and I do not manifest, I create, and so it is. Repeat this recognition daily, not as an affirmation to convince yourself, but as a declaration of what has always been true. Part 2. The Mastery, the Mechanics of True Creation. Chapter 11. Creation begins with identity. In the heart of a bustling theater district, Victor paced the dimly lit corridors, clutching yet another rejection notice. For years he had attended countless auditions, studied method acting, and perfected his craft. Yet the leading roles remained elusive. One evening, as he rehearsed his lines in an empty theater, an elderly man emerged from the shadows. His weathered face bore the wisdom of countless productions, and his eyes held a knowing gleam. "You don't get the role you want, you get the role you are," the old director said, his voice echoing through the empty seats. "What you see in your outer world is merely a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. This truth lies at the heart of all creation. Your circumstances, relationships, and achievements are not random occurrences, but precise mirrors of your self-concept. The world responds not to your desires, but to your identity. When you attempt to manifest from a place of wanting, you affirm the very lack you seek to overcome. True transformation begins when you shift your identity to align with your desires. Victor's revelation came during a quiet moment backstage. He realized he had been playing the role of a struggling actor, not just in auditions, but in life itself. His entire identity had become wrapped in the story of almost but not quite. That evening he made a decision. He would no longer play at being successful. He would embody success itself. He began carrying himself differently, speaking with quiet authority, making choices as though he were already a leading man. Within weeks, directors noticed the change. They saw in him what he now saw in himself. The roles he had once chased now seemed to chase him, not because he had become a better actor, but because he had become a different person. Your external reality has no choice but to reflect your internal identity. Like Victor, you may have been typecast in a role that no longer serves you. The question is not how to get what you want, but who you must become to naturally attract it. Practice the identity shift. Take a moment to write down who you must be to naturally experience what you desire. Complete these statements. I am the kind of person who it is natural for me to. I embody the energy of. Write until you feel a shift in your energy, until these statements feel like simple facts rather than aspirations. This is not an exercise in pretending, but in recognizing your true nature. Each morning, read these statements not as affirmations, but as reminders of who you truly are. Let your actions, choices, and responses flow naturally from this new identity. Chapter 12. The Sacred Role of Imagination. In a small atelier among winding streets, Dorothy sat at her workbench, surrounded by fabrics and half-finished designs. Her fingers, once sure and swift, now hesitated above the silk. Where once her imagination had flowed freely into reality, doubt had crept in like a shadow. Creation begins not with thread and needle, but in the sacred chamber of imagination. Every masterpiece, every breakthrough, every transformation first takes shape in the mind's eye. This truth extends far beyond the realm of artistry. It governs all of existence. Your imagination is not a place of idle fantasy, but the workshop where reality is forged. When you truly understand this, you realize that what you call imagination is actually the blueprint room of the universe. Every great achievement, every innovation, every change in human history began as a single thought in someone's mind. Dorothy's awakening came when she discovered an ancient text about sacred geometry. As she studied the patterns that underlie all of creation, she realized that her own creative process mirrored the universe itself. Everything, from the spiral of galaxies to the unfurling of a flower, first existed as a divine thought before manifesting in form. She began treating her mental images not as mere possibilities, but as realities waiting to emerge. Each design she envisioned became not a hope, but a certainty. As her faith in the unseen grew stronger, her creations took on a life of their own, carrying within them the power of absolute conviction. What you hold in your mind with unwavering certainty must eventually take form in your world. This is not wishful thinking. It is the very mechanism of creation itself. The universe does not distinguish between what you imagine with conviction and what you experience as reality. Practice constructing the unseen. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and choose one desire you wish to manifest. Now imagine it with such vivid detail that it feels more real than your current circumstances. See the colors, hear the sounds, feel the textures. Let every sense participate in this creation. Most importantly, feel the absolute certainty that what you're imagining is already yours. Practice this daily, not as an exercise in visualization, but as an act of experiencing what already exists in the unseen realm. Remember, you are not creating something new. You are simply bringing into visibility what already exists in the realm of pure potential. Chapter 13. The Language of the Universe, Vibration and Frequency. In a dimly lit concert hall, Raymond moved his fingers across the piano strings with practiced precision. Each note had to be perfectly tuned, for he understood a truth that extended far beyond music. Harmony requires perfect alignment. Your reality operates on the same principle as a grand piano. Every experience, every circumstance, every moment of your life resonates at a specific frequency. Just as a single mistuned string can distort an entire symphony, your dominant vibrational state shapes the entire melody of your existence. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, operates through precise vibrational laws. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not merely abstract concepts. They are energetic frequencies that ripple through the fabric of reality. Like a cosmic tuning fork, you are constantly broadcasting a signature frequency that the universe must match. Raymond's revelation came when he noticed that on days when his own inner state was discordant, even perfectly tuned pianos seemed to resist harmony. He began to understand that external circumstances were merely echoing his internal frequency. Through years of working with sound, he discovered that trying to force a piano into tune was futile. Each string had to be gently guided into its natural resonance. Similarly, he learned that attempting to force change in his life only created more resistance. The key was to adjust his own frequency first. Your external world can only mirror your internal frequency. When you try to change circumstances without first shifting your energetic state, you're like a musician attempting to play a masterpiece on an untuned instrument. Practice frequency alignment. Sit in stillness and bring awareness to your current energetic state. Feel the vibration of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Now, imagine your desired reality as a pure, clear tone. Begin to adjust your internal state through breath, through feeling, through knowing, until you sense yourself resonating with that pure tone. Stay in this aligned state until you feel the shift from effort to natural harmony. This is not about forcing change, but about finding resonance with what you wish to experience. Like a perfectly tuned string, your aligned state will naturally attract and harmonize with similar frequencies in the universe. When you achieve this state of perfect attunement, manifestation becomes effortless, as natural as a flower turning toward the sun. The universe responds not to your desires alone, but to the vibrational essence you embody in each moment. Chapter 14. Emotion as a Creative Force. In a sunlit studio, Helen stood before her canvas, brush suspended in midair. Her paintings had always been technically perfect, yet something was missing, the invisible force that makes art transcend mere imagery. You too may have noticed that identical actions can yield vastly different results. Two people can speak the same words, yet one moves mountains while the other barely creates a ripple. The difference lies not in the action itself, but in the emotional energy behind it. Emotions are not simply responses to life. They are the very essence of creative power. When you understand this truth, you begin to see why some thoughts manifest instantly, while others remain mere wishes. Your emotional state acts as an amplifier, broadcasting your frequency with such intensity that the universe has no choice but to respond. Helen discovered this truth when she began to paint not from technique, but from the depths of her feeling. Her breakthrough came during a period of intense joy. A painting created in this state sold immediately, touching the hearts of all who saw it. Yet when she painted from obligation or indifference, her work remained lifeless, regardless of its technical merit. Your creations follow the same principle. Thoughts backed by powerful emotions materialize faster than those accompanied by weak feelings. This is why moments of intense emotion, whether positive or negative, often mark turning points in your life. The universe responds not to the content of your thoughts, but to their emotional charge. Practice emotional amplification. Choose one desire you wish to manifest. Close your eyes and recall a moment when you felt incredibly alive, powerful, or filled with joy. Let this feeling grow within you until it fills your entire being. Now, while maintaining this heightened emotional state, imagine your desire as already fulfilled. Feel the emotion of having it now. Notice how the combination of clear intention and powerful emotion creates an unmistakable shift in your energy. This practice teaches you to use emotion not as a reaction to life, but as a deliberate creative force. Like Helen with her paintings, you will learn to infuse your manifestations with the emotional energy that brings them to life. Through consistent practice, you will discover that emotions are the colors with which you paint your reality, the vibrations that shape your experiences. When you master the art of emotional creation, you become like a skilled composer orchestrating the frequencies that attract your desires into physical form. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 15. The Art of the Unwavering Mind. In a dimly lit chess club, Lawrence sat before the board, his hand hovering over a piece as doubt clouded his mind. Though skilled in strategy, his constant second-guessing had become his greatest opponent. You have experienced this same pattern in your own life. When you waver between possibilities, questioning your choices, you create a vibration of uncertainty that the universe must reflect. Just as a radio cannot tune into two stations simultaneously, your reality cannot manifest through divided focus. The power of creation requires more than mere decision. It demands unwavering commitment. Each time you entertain doubt, you fracture the energy needed to bring your desires into form. This truth extends beyond the realm of games into every aspect of existence. Those who shape reality most effectively are not those with the most knowledge or skill, but those who maintain unshakable focus on their chosen outcome. Lawrence discovered this when he finally stopped analyzing every possible outcome and committed fully to his moves. In that moment of complete conviction, his game transformed. The board became a reflection of his certainty rather than his doubt. Your manifestations follow this same principle. When you hold a vision with absolute conviction, allowing no room for uncertainty, you create a force that reality must bend to match. But when you oscillate between belief and doubt, you disperse the very energy needed for creation. Practice mental discipline exercises. Sit quietly and choose one specific desire. Hold this vision in your mind with the same certainty with which you know the sun will rise tomorrow. When doubts arise, and they will, do not fight them. Instead, simply return your focus to the feeling of absolute knowing. Start with 1 minute of unwavering focus, then gradually extend the duration. This practice strengthens your ability to maintain singular focus, the key to powerful manifestation. Like Lawrence at the chessboard, you will learn that certainty, not analysis, bends reality to your will. Through this practice, you develop the mental discipline required for conscious creation. Each moment of sustained focus builds the muscle of unwavering belief, transforming you from someone who hopes into someone who knows. Like a master sculptor who sees the finished masterpiece within the raw stone, you learn to hold your vision with pristine clarity. This steadfast certainty becomes your natural state, no longer an effort, but an effortless knowing that flows through every fiber of your being. When you reach this level of conviction, the universe itself begins to bend toward your desires, recognizing in you the divine power of creation. Chapter 16, The Sacred Pause Before Manifestation. In a small village bakery, Beatrice stood before her oven, anxiety etched across her face. The aroma of baking bread filled the air, but her hands trembled with the urge to open the door and check just one more time. You too know this feeling, the restless energy that arises between planting a seed and witnessing its bloom. Like Beatrice, you may find yourself constantly checking on your manifestations, wondering why they haven't appeared, questioning if they ever will. But creation follows divine timing. Just as bread requires precise conditions and duration to transform from raw ingredients into a perfect loaf, your desires must pass through their own period of unseen development. Each time you doubt, each moment you try to force the process, you interrupt the very alchemy that brings your desires into form. Beatrice learned this truth when her mentor shared an ancient wisdom. The baker who trusts the process never tastes failure. Only when she finally allowed her bread to develop undisturbed did she discover the magic of perfect timing. Her loaves emerged golden and risen, proving that patience was the missing ingredient all along. Your manifestations operate under this same principle. When you set an intention, unseen forces begin their work immediately. Your role is not to oversee this process, but to maintain unwavering faith in its completion. Just as a seed doesn't require your supervision to become a flower, your desires don't need your constant monitoring to materialize. Practice the divine timing exercise. Choose one desire you've been anxiously monitoring. Close your eyes and imagine placing this desire into a golden vessel of light. Now consciously release all need to control its unfolding. Feel the peace that comes with complete surrender to divine timing. Each time you notice yourself wanting to check on your manifestation, return to this visualization. Remember, true faith requires no proof. Like Beatrice's perfect bread, your desires will manifest not through force but through trust in the unseen process of creation. When doubt creeps in, as it naturally will, let it pass through you like a cloud across the sky. Your only task is to maintain the purity of your faith, allowing the divine forces to work their magic in their own perfect timing. Just as a master chef knows when to step away from the oven, you must learn when to step back and let the universal laws perform their sacred dance of creation. Chapter 17, The Law of Reversal. Act as if it is done. In a bustling city market, Edgar stood before his empty shop, counting the meager earnings of another disappointing day. His shoulders slumped with the weight of unfulfilled dreams, his eyes fixed on the successful businesses across the street. You see yourself in Edgar's story, waiting for external validation before allowing yourself to feel worthy, successful, or complete. Like so many others, you have been taught that results must precede belief, that evidence must come before certainty. Yet this is the very illusion that keeps creation at bay. The ancient masters knew a truth that modern society has forgotten. The outer world merely echoes your inner state of being. When Edgar met the wise merchant Abdullah, he learned this timeless secret. The world does not make you successful. Your consciousness of success makes your world. This revelation transforms everything you thought you knew about manifestation. You need not wait for circumstances to align before embodying your desired state. In fact, Waiting is the very force that pushes your desires away. The universe responds not to what you want or hope for, but to what you are. Edgar's transformation began the moment he stopped acting like a struggling business owner and fully embodied the successful entrepreneur he desired to be. He walked differently. He spoke differently. He made decisions from this new state of being. Most importantly, he maintained this shift even when his external reality had not yet caught up. Within weeks, opportunities began appearing that matched his new vibration. Clients who had never noticed his shop suddenly became regular customers. Business partnerships materialized as if by magic. The external world had no choice but to reflect his internal certainty. Practice the state of being exercise. Close your eyes and step fully into the version of yourself who has already achieved your desire. Feel the confidence in your walk, the certainty in your voice, the peace in your heart. How does this version of you make decisions? How do they interact with others? How do they carry themselves through the world? For the next 7 days, maintain this state of being regardless of external circumstances. Make every choice, every interaction, every moment an expression of your achieved desire. Remember, you are not pretending. You are allowing your true state to emerge. The outer world has no choice but to conform to your inner certainty. Like Edgar, you will discover that success is not something you chase, but something you become. The moment you stop waiting for evidence and start living from the end result, the universe must reshape itself to match your new vibration. Chapter 18. Detachment is not giving up, it's the final step. In a quaint village, Mildred spent her days gazing out her window, watching couples walk hand in hand, her heart heavy with longing. Each night she would write elaborate lists of the qualities she desired in a partner, desperately trying to manifest love into her life. You have been taught that desire fuels creation, that wanting something intensely enough will draw it to you. Yet this understanding contains a subtle flaw that keeps you bound in cycles of yearning. The ancient wisdom speaks of a paradox. What you chase perpetually eludes you, while what you release naturally flows to you. The universe responds not to need but to wholeness. When you reach for something from a place of lack, you unknowingly push it away. Your very desire becomes the force that creates distance between you and your creation. Mildred discovered this truth one autumn evening when, exhausted from years of searching, she finally surrendered her desperate quest for love. In that moment of release, something shifted within her. She began to find joy in her solitude, peace in her independence, and completeness in her own company. As she tended her garden one morning, no longer consumed by thoughts of finding someone, she met Thomas, who had stopped to admire her roses. Their connection blossomed naturally, effortlessly, like flowers opening to the sun. What years of active seeking could not accomplish, genuine letting go achieved in an instant. The truth revealed itself. Mildred had not given up on love. She had given up the resistance that blocked it. In releasing her grip on the outcome, she allowed the natural flow of creation to move through her life. Practice the release ritual. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Hold in your mind the desire that you've been clinging to most tightly. Feel the weight of your attachment to it, the anxiety of waiting, the fear of not having it. Now imagine this desire as a balloon in your hands. Feel its string against your palms. Acknowledge that your tight grip doesn't bring it closer. It only creates tension in your being. Slowly, lovingly, release your grip on the string. Watch as the balloon floats upward, carrying with it all your anxiety and desperation. This release is not abandonment. It is trust in the perfect unfolding of creation. As you watch the balloon rise, affirm, I release my attachment while maintaining my knowing. What is meant for me cannot miss me. I am complete as I am. Perform this ritual whenever you feel yourself grasping too tightly at an outcome. Remember, true power lies not in desperate wanting, but in peaceful knowing. Chapter 19. Signs, Synchronicities, and Divine Winks. Along a winding mountain path, Joseph trudged forward, his worn leather bag heavy on his shoulders. Each day brought the same mysterious symbols, a peculiar arrangement of stones, 3 birds flying in formation, or a distinctive pattern in the morning dew. Yet, like many before you, he dismissed these whispers of the universe as mere coincidence. The language of creation speaks not only through manifestation, but through subtle signs along your path. These divine breadcrumbs guide you toward your highest alignment, yet in your haste to reach your destination, you often overlook them. The universe conspires to lead you home through a sacred dialogue of synchronicities, repeated numbers, and meaningful coincidences. These signs are not random. They are the invisible hand of creation reaching out to guide you. When you notice the same symbol repeatedly crossing your path, when certain numbers seem to follow you, or when meaningful coincidences stack upon each other, you are witnessing the universe attempting to communicate with you. One morning, exhausted from fighting against the current of his journey, Joseph finally paused to acknowledge the signs he had been ignoring. The same symbol that had appeared in his dreams now manifested in the bark of a tree, in the flight pattern of birds, and in the arrangement of stones at his feet. Instead of dismissing these patterns, he chose to follow their guidance. Each symbol led to another, creating a trail of divine breadcrumbs that guided him to a hidden valley, exactly where he needed to be to fulfill his purpose. What appeared as random markings along his path were actually a sacred map, drawn by the invisible hand of creation. In trusting these signs, Joseph discovered that the universe had been orchestrating his journey all along. Practice the sign recognition ritual. Set aside time each evening for this ancient practice of divine dialogue. Take your journal and record every unusual occurrence, repeated symbol, or meaningful coincidence you noticed throughout your day. Pay special attention to numbers that appear repeatedly, animals that cross your path in unusual ways, words or phrases you hear multiple times, dreams that feel significant, unexpected encounters that feel meaningful. Write these observations without judgment or interpretation. Simply record them as they occurred. After 7 days, review your journal. Look for patterns and connections. You will begin to recognize the unique way the universe speaks to you. Remember, signs appear most clearly to those who are ready to receive them. The universe is always communicating. It is your openness to its guidance that allows you to perceive its messages. Chapter 20. Your will is law commanding reality. In a dimly lit room, Eleanor sat before her empty notebook, waiting for inspiration to strike. Like countless others who have walked this path, she believed creativity was something that happened to her, not through her. Day after day, she waited for the muse to grace her with its presence, unaware that she held the power of command all along. The greatest secret of creation lies not in asking, but in commanding. Those who have mastered the art of conscious creation understand that reality responds not to wishes or hopes, but to absolute certainty. When you grasp this truth, you move beyond the realm of manifestation into the domain of pure creation. Your creative power does not require permission or external validation. It flows from your inherent authority as a creator. Just as the universe does not ask permission to create stars, you need not ask permission to shape your reality. The moment you shift from requesting to commanding, everything changes. Eleanor's transformation began when she discovered an ancient manuscript that spoke of speaking with authority. Instead of waiting for inspiration, she began each morning by declaring, "I command creativity to flow through me now." At first the words felt hollow, but as she continued, something shifted. Her writing began to pour forth effortlessly, not because inspiration finally arrived, but because she commanded it to manifest. The world around her responded to this new energy. Publishers who had ignored her work suddenly sought her out. Ideas that once eluded her now arrived on command. She had discovered what masters throughout time have known: reality bends to unwavering certainty. The declaration practice. Stand before a mirror at sunrise or sunset. Place your hand over your heart and speak these words with absolute authority. By the power vested in me as a creator, I now command, state your intention into being. It is done. Speak not as one who hopes or wishes, but as one who knows their word is law. Feel the authority in your voice, the certainty in your being. This is not a request to the universe, it is a command from the creator you truly are. Repeat this declaration 3 times, each time with increasing authority. The key lies not in the words themselves, but in the unwavering certainty with which you speak them. Remember, the universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you command with absolute knowing. Part 3. The Embodiment, Living as a True Creator. Chapter 21. The Creator's Mindset, Beyond Doubt, Beyond Struggle. In a small fishing village, Calvin stood at the helm of his weathered vessel, muscles tense as he fought against the churning waves. For 30 years he had believed that mastery meant conquering the sea, until one stormy night changed everything. The ocean, like life itself, responds not to force but to understanding. You have been taught that creation requires struggle, that manifestation demands effort. Yet, this is the very illusion that keeps you bound to limitation. True power lies not in fighting against circumstances, but in aligning with the underlying forces that shape them. Just as a skilled sailor does not battle the wind but harnesses its power, you need not struggle against your current reality. The universe operates through law, not force. When you understand this principle, you move beyond the realm of effort into the domain of effortless creation. Consider how the moon does not strain to move the tides, how the earth does not struggle to spin on its axis. These forces operate with perfect precision through alignment, not effort. Your creative power works in the same way. Calvin's revelation came during a violent storm. As waves crashed against his boat, a strange calm washed over him. Instead of fighting the ocean's fury, he began to feel its rhythm. He noticed how the wind, which he had always battled, could become his ally if he simply adjusted his sails differently. In that moment of surrender, he discovered a profound truth. The sea had never been his enemy. With this new understanding, Calvin navigated through the storm with remarkable ease. The same waters that had once threatened to overwhelm him now carried him safely to shore. He had not become a better sailor through more effort. He had become a better sailor through deeper understanding. The effortless creation practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Close your eyes and bring to mind a current challenge or desire. Now, instead of strategizing how to make it happen, feel the natural rhythm of its unfolding. Just as Calvin learned to feel the ocean's flow, sense the underlying current that's already moving you toward your desire. Speak these words with quiet authority. I release the need for struggle. My power lies in knowing, not forcing. What I desire flows to me naturally, effortlessly, perfectly. Feel how this state of being differs from one of effort and strain. Notice how your body relaxes, how your mind clears, how your breath deepens naturally. Your shoulders drop, releasing tension you may not have realized you carried. This is the state from which true creation flows, not through force, but through alignment with the natural laws of the universe. Like a leaf carried effortlessly downstream, you move in harmony with the currents of divine wisdom that have always surrounded you. Chapter 22. Time is an illusion, the quantum nature of creation. In a small workshop filled with the gentle ticking of countless timepieces, Florence labored meticulously over her clocks. Each gear, each spring, each movement was calculated to predict the precise moment when future events would unfold. Yet despite her mastery of mechanical time, her own future remained stubbornly unpredictable. Time, as you have understood it, is perhaps the greatest illusion binding your creative power. You have been taught that manifestation follows a linear path, that between desire and fulfillment stretches an inevitable period of waiting. This belief alone has kept countless dreams suspended in the realm of someday. The quantum field knows no such limitations. Within it, all possibilities exist simultaneously, waiting not for time to pass, but for consciousness to select them. When you truly grasp this truth, you understand that creation requires no waiting, only choosing. Think of time not as a river flowing from past to future, but as an infinite ocean where all moments exist at once. Your power lies not in predicting which wave will reach the shore, but in deciding which reality you will experience now. One day, as Florence adjusted yet another chronometer, something shifted in her understanding. The countless hours spent trying to measure time suddenly seemed like trying to capture wind in a jar. She realized that her obsession with timing had become a prison, keeping her bound to an endless cycle of preparation and postponement. In that moment, Florence stepped away from her workbench and did something unprecedented. She began living as if her desired future was already present. She stopped planning for success and started embodying it. She ceased waiting for the perfect moment and realized that perfection existed only in the now. The watches in her shop continued their steady tick, but Florence no longer saw them as markers of time passing. Instead, they became symbols of the eternal present moment, where all creation takes place. The quantum shift practice. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Feel yourself sitting exactly where you are, fully present in this moment. Now, without moving physically, allow your consciousness to shift into the version of you who has already achieved everything you desire. Notice how this future self sits, breathes, thinks. Feel the certainty in their posture, the peace in their heart, the knowing in their mind. This is not imagination. It is you accessing a reality that already exists in the quantum field. Speak from this enlightened state. I am not becoming, I am. Time does not control my creations. I do. What I desire exists now, and I choose to experience it fully in this moment. Remain in this state for several minutes, allowing your consciousness to fully align with this reality. Remember, you are not waiting for something to happen. You are simply choosing to experience what already is. Chapter 23. Living from the Future You. In a pristine laboratory filled with equations and experimental data, Albert meticulously recorded every variable, desperately seeking patterns that would reveal future outcomes. His calculations grew more complex, his predictions more elaborate, yet certainty remained elusive. You have been taught that the future unfolds according to probability, that success must be pursued through careful planning and methodical steps. Yet this very belief has kept you bound to a linear path, forever chasing what already exists within your reach. The truth about creation is far simpler than you imagine. You do not move toward your desired reality, you move from it. Every moment holds infinite possibilities, and your power lies not in predicting which will manifest, but in choosing which you experience now. When you understand this principle, you realize that success is not something to be achieved, but a state of being, to be embodied. The version of you who has already accomplished everything you desire exists in this moment, waiting only for your recognition. One afternoon, as Albert reviewed his endless calculations, his mentor placed a hand on his shoulder and spoke words that would transform his understanding. The future is not to be predicted, it is to be chosen. In that moment, Albert saw the futility of his approach. He had been trying to map a path to success, when success was already available as a state of consciousness. He stopped behaving like a scientist working toward breakthrough and began operating as one who had already achieved it. His demeanor shifted, his decisions flowed from certainty rather than calculation, and his reality began reflecting this new state of being. The breakthrough he sought emerged not from his predictions, but from his transformed consciousness. Future self-integration practice. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Feel your current surroundings dissolve as you step into the consciousness of your fulfilled self. This is not visualization, it is recognition of what already exists. Experience how this version of you moves through the world. Notice the certainty in their decisions, the peace in their heart, the knowing in their mind. Let their consciousness become yours. From this elevated state, allow yourself to live, breathe, and act. Feel how this version of you has transcended the need for proof or prediction. They simply know, and in their knowing, they create. Maintain this state for several minutes, allowing it to become familiar and natural, like settling into a comfortable chair you've always known. Feel how this elevated consciousness wraps around you like a second skin. Remember, you are not becoming this version of yourself. You are recognizing that you already are. This truth has always resided within you, waiting patiently for this moment of acknowledgement. The only separation between you and your fulfilled self was the veil of doubt, now gently dissolving in the light of your awareness. Chapter 24. Mastering the Flow of Reality. In a small fishing village by the rushing river, Harrison fought against the current each day, exhausting himself as he tried to force his way to the best fishing spots. His nets remained empty, his boat battered by his constant struggle against the water's natural flow. You have been taught that creation requires constant effort, that you must push and strain against life's currents to reach your desires. This belief has kept you trapped in an endless battle, depleting your energy while moving you further from your goals. The truth about manifestation flows like water. It cannot be forced or controlled, only aligned with and directed. When you resist the natural movement of life, you create turbulence that prevents your desires from reaching you. Your power lies not in fighting against what is, but in harmonizing with the currents that already flow toward your good. One morning, as Harrison's boat rocked violently against the rapids, he released his grip on the oars. In that moment of surrender, he discovered that the river knew exactly where to take him. The current guided his vessel to a calm inlet teeming with fish, a spot he had never found in all his years of forcing his way upstream. Harrison learned to read the river's rhythms, to sense its natural patterns. Instead of battling the water, he became one with its flow. His nets filled effortlessly, his journey became peaceful, and the river revealed secrets he could never have discovered through force. Flow state integration practice. Sit quietly and bring awareness to your breath. Feel the natural rhythm of life moving through you. Notice any resistance, any area where you're fighting against what is. Now imagine yourself as water. Water doesn't fight obstacles, it flows around them. It doesn't push against barriers, it finds new paths. Feel this fluid adaptability in your own being. Let go of the need to control outcomes. Instead, sense the natural current of life moving you toward your desires. Trust that this flow knows the perfect path, the perfect timing, the perfect way. Remain in this state of conscious surrender for several minutes. Feel how different it is from forcing or struggling. Notice how clarity and inspiration arise naturally when you stop resisting and start flowing. This is not passive acceptance, it is active alignment with the creative forces of the universe. From this state, you move with grace, guided by an intelligence far greater than any plan your mind could devise. Chapter 25, The Supreme Power of Inner Silence. In a grand concert hall, Evelyn sat before the piano, her fingers hovering uncertainly above the keys. Though she knew every note by heart, her music lacked the magic that transforms mere sound into soul-stirring art. She played each piece perfectly, yet something essential remained missing. You too have felt this hesitation, this gap between technical perfection and true creative power. Like Evelyn, you may have filled every moment with action, leaving no space for the sacred silence where creation truly begins. The universe speaks in silence, in the space between thoughts, between breaths, between moments. This is where the infinite potential of creation resides. When you rush to fill every pause with noise and activity, you drown out the whispers of divine inspiration. Creation does not emerge from constant doing, but from the profound stillness that precedes inspired action. This stillness is not empty. It is pregnant with all possibility, waiting to birth your desires into form. One evening, as Evelyn prepared for her performance, she noticed the spaces between the notes on her sheet music. In that moment, she understood. Music was not made of sounds alone, but of the silence that gave those sounds meaning. As she began to play, she no longer rushed through the pauses but allowed them to resonate with possibility. Her music transformed, touching hearts in ways her previous technical perfection never could. The silence had taught her its secret, that true power flows not from endless activity, but from the space where all potential exists. Her music became a dance between sound and silence, each enhancing the other in perfect harmony. Stillness integration practice. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow your awareness to rest in the space between your thoughts. Notice how this silence feels alive, vibrant with potential. Let your attention sink deeper into this stillness. Feel how it extends infinitely in all directions. This is not emptiness. It is the field of all possibility, the source from which all creation springs. Remain here, allowing the stillness to expand within you. Notice how answers, inspiration, and clarity naturally arise when you stop seeking them. This is the power of aligned silence, the space where miracles are born. As you open your eyes, carry this stillness with you like a treasured jewel in your heart. Let it inform your actions, guide your decisions, and amplify your creative power throughout each moment of your day. Feel how this inner quietude transforms even the simplest tasks into sacred acts of creation. For in this sacred silence, you touch the very source of creation itself. the eternal wellspring from which all manifestation flows. This is the space where thought becomes form, where dreams take root in reality. Chapter 26. Divine Creation versus Ego Manifestation. Gregory stood in his office, surrounded by charts, graphs, and endless to-do lists. Each morning he would arrive before sunrise, determined to bend reality to his will through sheer force. Yet the harder he pushed, the more resistance he encountered. You have known this struggle, the exhausting cycle of forcing, controlling, and manipulating circumstances, only to find yourself further from your goals. Like Gregory, you may have mistaken force for power, believing that creation requires strain and effort. True creation flows from a different source entirely. When desires arise from the ego, from a sense of lack, fear, or unworthiness, they carry within them the very seeds of struggle. The ego creates through force because it believes in separation and scarcity. It sees the world as something to conquer rather than a reflection to align with. Divine creation, however, emerges naturally from your connection with the infinite. It requires no force because it flows from wholeness, from the knowing that you are already complete. This is not manifestation. It is recognition of what already exists. One evening, as Gregory sat amidst his carefully constructed plans, a gentle realization dawned. All his life, he had been trying to prove his worth through achievement. Every goal, every target, every desire stemmed from a belief that success would finally make him enough. In that moment of clarity, he understood why everything had felt like such a struggle. The next morning, instead of forcing his way through the day, Gregory sat quietly in his office. He allowed himself to feel complete, worthy, and whole, exactly as he was. From this new state of being, his actions flowed naturally. Opportunities appeared effortlessly, relationships improved spontaneously, and success unfolded organically. The universe had not changed, Gregory had. By releasing the need to prove himself, he allowed creation to flow through him rather than from him. Wholeness alignment practice. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Feel the completeness that already exists within you. Notice any desires that arise from a sense of lack or unworthiness. Without judgment, simply observe them. Now, imagine releasing these ego-driven desires into the infinite. Feel how different it is to create from wholeness rather than lack. From this space of completeness, allow your true desires to emerge, not from what you think you need, but from what naturally wants to express through you. Rest in this awareness of your inherent wholeness. Notice how creation becomes effortless when it flows from this space of divine alignment. You need not force anything into being. Simply allow what is already whole within you to express itself in form. Chapter 27. Your world is a reflection. Nothing exists outside you. In a small village among rolling hills, Dorothy crafted mirrors of exceptional quality. Each morning she would examine her work, scrutinizing every detail for flaws. One particular mirror troubled her. No matter how meticulously she polished it, imperfections kept appearing. You, like Dorothy, may have noticed that your world seems to reflect back what you least desire. The truth lies not in changing what you see, but in understanding its source. The external world operates as a perfect mirror, reflecting with unwavering accuracy the beliefs, thoughts, and emotions you hold within. When you perceive lack, the world shows you more evidence of scarcity. When you feel unworthy, circumstances arise to reinforce this belief. This is not punishment. It is the precise working of universal law. Dorothy spent countless hours trying to perfect her mirrors, until one day she noticed something profound. As she leaned close to examine a flaw, she realized the imperfection moved with her. It wasn't in the mirror at all, it was her own reflection she had been trying to fix. In that moment of clarity, Dorothy understood that her obsession with flaws in her mirrors stemmed from her own sense of imperfection. Instead of continuing her futile attempt to correct the reflection, she turned inward. As she began to accept and love herself, something remarkable happened. The imperfections she had struggled with seemed to vanish on their own. The mirror had not changed. Dorothy had. By shifting her internal state, the external reflection transformed naturally. Mirror of reality practice. Sit quietly and observe your surroundings. Notice the circumstances, relationships, and situations in your life that trigger the strongest reactions. These are your mirrors. For each reflection, ask yourself, what belief within me is being shown? If you see lack, where do you feel incomplete? If you encounter resistance, where are you resisting yourself? If you experience judgment, where are you judging yourself? Write down these correlations without judgment. Remember, the mirror cannot show what is not present within. By recognizing these reflections as internal projections, you gain the power to transform them at their source. Chapter 28. The Secret Teachings of the Great Masters. In a vast library filled with ancient texts, Nathaniel devoted his life to uncovering the secrets of existence. He traveled to distant lands, studied with masters, and collected wisdom from every tradition. Yet the truth remained elusive until one night as he sat surrounded by countless volumes of spiritual teachings. You, like Nathaniel, may have searched far and wide for the key to creation. The truth that Nathaniel discovered that night was both simple and profound. Every spiritual tradition, stripped of its cultural garments, reveals the same eternal principle: consciousness is the foundation of all reality. From the ancient Egyptian mysteries to the Vedic scriptures, from the teachings of Jesus to the wisdom of the Tao, all point to one fundamental truth. You are not merely an observer of reality, you are its source. The power you seek has always resided within you. This is not a new teaching, it is the oldest truth whispered through the ages. The great masters did not discover this wisdom. They remembered it. And now, you too are remembering. Nathaniel found himself tracing the same message through different texts. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, whispered one. All that we are is the result of what we have thought, echoed another. Reality follows consciousness, declared a third. Different words, same truth. One evening, as Nathaniel sat with an ancient manuscript, he realized he was no longer reading. He was remembering. The wisdom he sought wasn't hidden in the pages before him. It was awakening within him. In that moment, all the teachings merged into a single truth. Consciousness creates reality. Universal creation practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Let your breath become steady and deep. Now, bring to mind the great teachers and traditions throughout history. See them not as separate paths, but as different fingers pointing to the same moon. Feel the presence of this timeless wisdom stirring within you. Know that you are not discovering something new. You are remembering what you have always known. You are the creator, and you always have been. Sit with this truth until it moves from intellectual understanding to felt knowing. Let it settle deep within your being, beyond the realm of thought, and into the chambers of your heart. As you breathe in this wisdom, feel how it resonates with the deepest part of your soul, the part that has always known this truth but perhaps forgotten it. Let the ancient wisdom of all traditions merge into this single revelation. Your consciousness is the creator of your reality. This is not merely a concept to be studied, but a living truth that has guided seekers throughout the ages, from the mystics of the East to the prophets of the West. In this moment of recognition, you stand in harmony with all those who have walked this sacred path before you. Chapter 29: How to Maintain the Creator's State for Life. In the grand theater of life, Charlotte moved with grace, each step a testament to years of dedication. Yet something was missing. Her dance felt mechanical, a series of learned movements rather than flowing expression. Night after night, she practiced until exhaustion, seeking that elusive perfection. You, like Charlotte, may have mastered individual manifestations, creating specific outcomes through conscious intention. But true mastery transcends isolated achievements. It is not about perfecting a single step. It is about becoming the dance itself. The ancient wisdom reveals that creation is not a series of separate events, but a continuous flow of being. When you understand this truth, you stop trying to manifest and start living as creation itself. Your very presence becomes an act of creation, every breath a manifestation. Charlotte's revelation came not during practice, but in a moment of surrender. As she watched leaves dancing in the wind, she saw that nature never struggled to create its beauty. It simply was. The leaves didn't try to dance, they were the dance. One evening, as Charlotte took the stage, something shifted. She stopped thinking about the steps and surrendered to the music of life itself. Her performance transformed from a sequence of movements into pure expression. The audience witnessed not a dancer performing steps, but creation flowing through human form. This truth illuminates the path before you. Mastery is not about accumulating techniques or perfecting methods. It is about living in such alignment with the creative force that your very existence becomes an act of creation. Like Charlotte, you are called to move beyond doing into being. Living creation practice. Begin each day by acknowledging your nature as a creator. Before your feet touch the ground, remind yourself, I am not here to create. I am creation expressing itself. Throughout the day, pause periodically and ask, am I trying to create, or am I allowing creation to flow through me? Let this awareness guide your actions, your words, your thoughts. Feel the rhythm of the universe moving through you. Like a dancer in perfect harmony with the music, let your life become an expression of the creative force that flows through all things. This is not a practice to be done. It is a state to be lived. In moments of doubt or struggle, remember, you are not separate from the creative force of the universe. You are that force expressing itself in human form. Let this truth guide every step, every breath, every moment of your existence. When challenges arise, do not resist them. They too are expressions of the infinite creative power flowing through all things. Your very presence in this world is proof of the universe's creative spirit manifesting through you. Each heartbeat, each thought, each action is the divine force expressing itself in ways that only you can embody. Chapter 30. The final revelation you have been creating all along. In a distant mountain temple, Miriam knelt before yet another teacher, hoping to unlock the mysteries of creation. For years, she had traversed sacred sites, studied ancient texts, and sought wisdom from spiritual masters. Yet with each new teaching, the truth seemed to slip further away. You have walked a similar path, gathering knowledge, seeking techniques, collecting wisdom. Like Miriam, you may have believed that somewhere, Someone held the key to unlocking your creative power, but creation is not a secret to be discovered. It is a truth to be remembered. The power you seek has never been separate from you. You are not learning to create. You are remembering what you have always been. Miriam's moment of awakening came not through another teaching, but through surrender. As she sat beneath an ancient tree, exhausted from seeking, something within her shifted. The questions fell away, and in their place arose a knowing that had always been there. She was not separate from the creative force. She was that force expressing itself. In that moment of recognition, everything Miriam had learned transformed from external knowledge into remembered truth. She saw that every step of her journey, even the seeming detours, had been creation itself guiding her back to this fundamental reality. This revelation stands before you now. You are not a seeker of creative power. You are creative power, seeking to remember itself. Every breath you take is creation expressing itself through you. Every thought you think is the universe exploring possibilities through your consciousness. Final creation declaration. Stand before a mirror, look into your own eyes, and speak these words with the full authority of your being. I am not learning to create, I am remembering what I have always been. I am not separate from the creative force of the universe. I am that force expressing itself in this form. I declare this truth not as something to believe, but as something I know. From this moment forward, I stand in full recognition of my true nature as conscious creator of my reality. Let these words resonate not as an affirmation to be repeated, but as a truth to be lived and embodied in every breath you take. For in this declaration, you are not claiming something new. You are acknowledging what has always been, what lies at the very core of your being, waiting to be remembered. This recognition of your true nature as creator is not a distant goal to achieve, but rather an eternal truth finally coming into conscious awareness. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. The wisdom you have uncovered within these pages is not meant to be a final destination. Like the eternal dance of creation itself, your journey continues to unfold in ever-deepening spirals of understanding and mastery. What you now hold is not merely knowledge. It is a living truth that must be embodied moment by moment. Each breath offers a new canvas for creation. Each thought a fresh opportunity to align with your divine nature. The ancient masters did not reach a point where they declared their work complete. They understood that mastery is not a summit to be reached, but an endless exploration of infinite potential. Just as the universe continuously expands, your capacity for conscious creation knows no bounds. You may find yourself returning to these teachings, discovering new layers of meaning as your consciousness expands. What appeared as profound insight today will deepen into lived experience tomorrow. The parables and principles shared here are not static lessons, but living seeds, growing and evolving with your own awakening. Remember that creation is not something you do. It is what you are. There is no separation between the creator and the created, between the dancer and the dance. Every moment presents a choice: to create consciously or unconsciously, to command reality or be commanded by it. As you close these pages, know that you are not finishing a book. You are stepping into the fullness of your creative power. The real practice begins now, in the ordinary moments of your daily life, in your interactions, in your decisions, in your responses to circumstances. These are the true laboratories of conscious creation. Let every challenge become an opportunity to exercise your creative authority. Let every obstacle reveal itself as the raw material for your next masterpiece. The universe awaits your command, not as a servant to your wishes, but as the very substance of your being expressing itself through you. This is not an ending, but a beginning, an invitation to step fully into the eternal dance of creation. The power has always been yours. Now, with eyes wide open and heart fully awakened, you can wield it with the certainty it deserves. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.